All right, let's do this. Is the right camera on? Yes, it is. I know it's not. Wait, pause this TV shit. Why can't I hear myself? Microphone. Okay, here we are. So let's get back to this. Hold on a quick second. Oh my God, everything. I'm literally using my hotspot on my phone to do this. Tell me that's not fucked. Okay. So let's pull the chart up. Oh, it somehow didn't delete the fake one. How? It's like a cancer that won't go away. Okay, well now it's gone. So now we have born at 11:10, my lucky number. Numbers. Let's turn the clock on. All right. So let's see here. So we now have a Pisces moon, very close to my sun actually, and Mercury. So that's really, really good for our connection here. The rising, of course, with Pluto, I believe that was the same because if you're born at the same time, the rising is going to stay the same. So actually, because I only messed up the date, I don't know how. It's really only the moon that's actually going to change. Well, there's several points that are going to change, but let me think about this for a second. I shouldn't have deleted the old one. I guess I can pull it up, but I mean it's the same location. So everything. Okay, I mean, like Mars will be a few degrees. Let's get off. Let's get off this. The best thing for me would be if everything was all good, or like if most of the stuff was like similar, so I don't have to repeat myself. Besides, obviously the moon, and kind of bring some of that together. But yeah, I mean, the ascendant changes 2 degrees. Pluto's still rising. Uranus still in the second. Neptune's still in the third. I see still, it just shifts by 2 degrees. Um, but yeah, what changes is that Pallas, stays in the fifth. South Node stays there. All that changes. Part of Fortune and Moon, Chiron, Vesta. Yep. Okay. So yeah. So yeah, it's a vertex, part of Fortune, Moon, Mars even. Wow. So interesting. Yeah, so Mars moves 1 degree. So nothing changes. Um, Mercury, because it was well, so let's start with that, right? So it was retrograde in your natal chart, or in the one I did before, the one that was 2 days too early. Well, it is stationed, about to go direct in the correct one. So if you think about Mercury retrograde, there's a sense of relief at the end, right? There's a sense of relief and a sense of the storm is over, but then there's still that period, right? After the shadow period, as they call it. So, where do I want to go? So what happens with like a station Mercury is that the energies and lessons are a lot stronger than usual. So everything related to Mercury in Leo is very, very prominent, right? It takes on a whole new meaning. And with your chart, so now we're going from the Leo, so basically the only part of your chart that of the reading I did before that gets kind of taken away is the moon. And then the vertex, which I don't think I went into very much. Yeah, because yeah. And I think I probably barely touched on the part of fortune. So everything is the same. I'm not gonna like, repeat every single thing when it's the same, but I'm gonna make sense out of the changes, right? Because you can watch that entire video and the only thing off will be, this Mercury being stationed instead of retro, which is still very similar. Every single planet is in the same house. And then we have to look at asteroids, fixed stars, right? Which is like the end segment, because those can be affected. So yeah, but in your natal chart, Pluto's even closer to the ascendant, so it has even more of that real powerful effect. But overall, and yeah, you're okay. So yeah, and Mars gets further from the midheaven, but you move away from having a 0-degree Mars to 1-degree Mars. That's significant. That's you know it's a 0-degree Mars is definitely something something very significant, something very particular. So it's going to take away some of that naivete. But okay, let's really get down to business. Leo Sun, right? We talked about I talked in length. I think I went over 2 hours for your reading about all the Leo energy, and I know I really spoke a lot about the opposition with Aquarius, which is non-existent in reality, but it really is. Great sentence. And I'll explain why. So your moon might not be there, and you might have been born, I had you like a sign after a full moon, right? So just completely after the energy is completely cleared, So it is really like that that kind of like energy, right? So that makes your chart a lot less tense. However, you do have an elemental quincunx between moon and sun. So instead of an opposition, which is way harder, there's an elemental quincunx, which means that it's just they're 5 signs away. And trust me, I know these signs. So you come to the right guy once again, because a Pisces moon makes someone very, very empathetic, almost sometimes to a fault. Where they're so compassionate and so giving, and there can also be this massive escapist tendency, right? So it's very introverted, and it gives a need for alone time because you've taken so much of the energy of those around you. And with your moon now being ruled by Neptune in the third, this adds more significance because it's really pointing to your communication, to the possibility of being somewhat of a poet, somewhat of a kind of someone who communicates, who uses, whether it's writing or any form of communication, to to really enrich themselves. And I don't mean that financially. So let's pull this up. So still, and interesting now, so the moon before didn't, so now the moon, your actual moon is square Neptune, right? So we have to look at, what the, what's changed, is that moon. The sun moved 2 degrees, so where's Uranus? So yeah, so the sun moves 2 degrees, so that square with Uranus I already talked about gets even more extreme. It's exact now. And that just adds to the intensity of that square. That tension, that rebelliousness, and that very, very important life purpose. But with the moon, there's a very nice trine with Uranus, which makes you able to be sort of unconventional, but in a way that isn't like very offensive, if that makes sense. But then like the sun square Uranus kind of like puts that in, like kind of it it definitely makes you, when people get to know you, like they appreciate you for your just you and your nuances, and just how you are just different, basically. So let's see here. Now the fact that, yeah, so now that the moon is squaring Uranus and the sun is squaring, or the moon is squaring Neptune, and you see moon and Pisces squaring Neptune is a lot easier than moon any other sign squaring Neptune, right? And then the sun is squaring Uranus. So that sun square Uranus is actually gonna, back to my point about the Aquarius and Leo, Uranus is Aquarius. So there is that push and pull, that theme in your life of individualism and finding that the true you is still very, 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 very huge. So everything I said, even if your moon isn't there, is still synchronistic based on that aspect. I've seen that aspect. My girlfriend has that aspect. Like I've seen it with clients. It's massive, It is it's so important that it really, like I said, it does validate a lot of that need for that true authentic self, finding that true authentic self. But yeah, I mean the big difference obviously from moon in Pisces square Neptune instead of moon Aquarius is that you're very, very sensitive, and you're a Libra rising, with Pluto rising, it kind of makes you a Scorpio slash Libra rising, right? You have this determination, this grit, ability to really dig deep into whatever you want to, but then also have a very sociable kind of lightness to it, right? Well, that's what people see. Now then with the sun in Leo, with the Venus, conjunct Venus, like shielded by Venus and Jupiter still, Jupiter is closer, which I would say, if I had to choose between having any two planets conjunct my sun, it would definitely be Jupiter and Venus by far. So that's beautiful. I'm gonna send you this message right now. So you know that what I'm doing. I would say this is very good news. But where are you is the question. Yeah. Hey Missy, so I ran, so I'm doing like so I ran your chart. I didn't even like really look at it the other day. I was just kind of disappointed, like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to restart everything. Everything's gonna be different. But I wasn't even thinking that I didn't mess up the time and I didn't mess up the location. And I was only 2 days off. So in reviewing both charts, there's actually only one, well, mainly the only thing that shifts is the moon. So what I'm doing now in this second video is so basically everything, and even the stuff I said about the Uranus, like the Aquarius versus the Leo, it still holds up, even more so because you have an exact square. Your sun moves 2 degrees, which makes you have an exact square of Uranus in Sun, like it's 7 exact. So what doesn't stand is the moon, which and I'm still going over everything in a different way to make it make perfect sense. But everything else is exactly the same. Every planet is in the same sign, same house. No, like outer planets, like the degrees don't change at all. Also, your Mercury moves from retrograde to station, which is a little different, but not much. And yeah, the moon, the vertex, the part of fortune, those change. But everything else stays the same. But and then the asteroids and the fixed stars, which I'm gonna look at also, because that those have to be exact conjunctions pretty much. So yeah, so I'll be getting this second part to you, but basically I'm just giving you the green light that everything besides the description of the moon Aquarius part of the first reading was 100% accurate. And even if that moon Aquarius part doesn't resonate, the opposition of Leo and Aquarius is still, of those two energies is still massive in your chart. All the stuff about, I'm recording as I'm saying this, by the way, but all the stuff about, really individualism, authenticity, all that. So I'm very happy that I don't have to speak on every single part of this chart because I'm literally using my hotspot right now because my Wi-Fi is so bad. So this one is actually gonna have no interruptions. But yeah, just want to let you know that. Okay, so yeah, I forgot for a second that as we record. But yeah, so with Leo and Pisces, I mean, you're talking to a Pisces sun, Leo rising, with his moon in Sag in the 5th house of Leo. So like, I understand that struggle. Trust me, I understand that struggle 1,000,000,000%. And the issue there, right? I literally have therapy around this. Like that's the level I'm talking about. And what I mean by that is that Leo is very, very extroverted. It wants to shine. It's that part of you that wants to adventure, that wants to be around friends, in the 11th house. Wants to, with Jupiter, it wants to expand, right? It wants to love everyone, and it can make you run into some trouble with the Pisces moon if you're not feeding both mouths, right? Now this is extremely important. I may have mentioned that metaphor in the the first and then, well, I'm not gonna call it like the failed reading because it was literally everything was accurate, but well, not everything, 95%, 90%. Moon is so important. So, but yeah, still. But yeah, the Pisces part, this is huge, right? Because this adds like a whole new element. And you already had air in your chart with the Libra rising, right? You have fire from the Leo. And then you already had water with the Mars, true. But then the Earth, yeah, the Earth was always lacking. So I did talk about that already, about the need to ground, right? But anyways, yeah, so but like the moon is in the 6th house, which is very, very significant because it's in the same house as your South Node. And that is karmically going to be difficult, right? Because your emotional instinct is trying to kind of pull you back in towards your been there, done that, right? So how to balance that, right? And that's an indicator of a very advanced soul, is when I see someone where their South Node is where there's more pressure, like where there's more supportive elements on, like from their South Node, like the been there, done that, and not anything really supporting the North Node, besides the fact that Saturn is conjunct the North Node, right? That's no doubt a supportive one, but it's in the 12th house, so it's like really about conquering fears and getting past perfectionism, right? And really taking your craft, because 6th house, to have that 6th house Pisces moon, it's making a lot of sense when it comes to service and taking your ideals and imagination, the things you imagine, your dreams, all that stuff, and really putting them to form, like making form out of them, right? So that is important, very, very important. But yeah, I want to just like talk about Pisces moon, because it is such a important part of your chart. So unlike what I said in the first video, you are extremely emotional person. I know it's funny you were like, I wish I had an Aquarius moon, but really, do you though? Do you? Because like it's a gift. I mean, yeah, it would make more sense with the Leo and having that opposition, which you don't, of Sun and Moon. But like, come on, so going back to what I was saying before, the Pisces moon is feeding, it's feeding both mouths, but there is that been there, done that. Can't forget the South Node's in Pisces, right? So it's like, it's not going to be so like, oh my God, like I can't, like, so you'll have a natural affinity to mysticism, a natural affinity to kind of, spirituality and being able to really read people and see through people's true intentions. But then, if it's a South Node, we have to think, okay, and what were the squares? Were there any squares? No. We have to think, okay, well, it's opposite Saturn. So it's like, it's showing me that you haven't had that structure in past lives, right? So, which I know I said before. So, it's almost like you're being asked to be either like the artist that makes something out of themselves instead of just talks about it, or you're being asked to be the person that steps up, but in a past life you were really held back by some force, some very patriarchal force, and that could have led to this kind of shame, this shame around being yourself as a spiritual being. And I remember now that being like a key theme of the reading was like you and finding that authentic self, right? And really and how suppressed that's been in past lives. So yeah, with the Pisces moon, you have this endless imagination, this endless intuition, but it's really about opening up. Yeah, and it's really about feeding that. So as a female, I wrote an article I'm very proud of a while ago, about how much more difficult it is for a male with a mainly Capricorn, Scorpio, but also Pisces and Cancer moons. Um, you know, in today's world, when they're feeling like they can't express their emotions, like women typically, not to generalize, but typically it's easier, right? So, that's some important stuff. But yeah, overall, the fact that your chart ruler is on your sun is just like one of the best things you can have. And the fact that Jupiter is conjunct Venus is one of the best aspects in astrology. And the fact that you don't have sun opposite moon is taking a lot of difficulty away, but it still is hard. And Leo, as I've been kind of explaining, is extremely social. Fire, extroverted. So it's like, I think having fire, I mean, I maybe I'm not just saying this because I have it, but I think it makes a very dynamic human being. I think, even though they're 5 signs away and they're 6 degrees away, so it's not like really a quincunx like degree wise, but like, with sun and moon, I'm just like at this point, like it's more about the elements to me, right? So the conflict of Leo and Pisces is, the Pisces that wants to stay home and meditate all day, and the Leo that just wants to, you know, especially with Jupiter, which makes, having Jupiter on your sun and Venus on your sun makes you kind of like a Leo / Libra / Sag, right? You're a very interesting type of Leo, a very rare breed of Leo. And I remember peeking into your mate's your partner mate. What am I sounding like? I'm from the 1800s. Mate is like a friend, but their chart and seeing that they had that as well, I was like, wow, interesting. So yeah, that'll be a fun one to do. But yeah, overall, the big shift is that you're way more emotional. You're way more emotional. And you know, it's really important for you to find your voice. So journaling, and you need that creative outlet, that escape, that positive escapist, right? Because that's the thing with Leo Pisces is that they're both really sensitive energies to the most. People don't know this about Leo. Leo is so sensitive. Oh my God. And they show it and dramatic. Not always. It's just a stereotype, but I've seen it. I got my Leo Scorpio cat next to me. He's a drama boy. He hides it well because he's Scorpio. These guys Leo moon is Leo rising. But yeah, so it's interesting when we think, okay, so this is a new element. I'm adding tons of new elements to this also. I'm gonna send you this too. Oh shit. Sorry, I accidentally opened the wrong message. One sec. Hold on. Okay, so where were you? Okay, what was I gonna say? Um, okay, I'm still recording, but I also want to say that I'm adding tons of new elements in this second one. So they actually both go together. It's a two-part series. Okay. So with the with the moon in the 6th, and with all the energy the way it is, you are definitely service is so important, and it can be really easy for you to fall into your south node, to fall into escapism, to fall into that, right? So the best way is to follow the moon's house, the 6th house, in the north node, which is Virgo. So the sign of my homework for you is to study or read my post better, even it's not too far back. I think I did Virgo, didn't I? I need to finish that series. I'm really dismotivated. I'm gonna write that down right now. Finish high, low. I don't like starting things and not finishing them. Okay. But yeah, like study about Virgo. Study about high and low Virgo. Because really, like, high Virgo is like non-perfectionism. It's like, I know I can't get my best every day, but I'm gonna try, and it's about structure, and it's about, having that in your life. And that's what ultimately allows that Pisces creativity and magic to come to form. Without it, it's just, it doesn't work out, So yeah. But yeah, getting stuck in the south node is no fun, and it just feels like you're kind of repeating like a kind of been there, done that. And for you, being of service also is a major thing, and it's something that can get you really out of that feeling of like you just not growing or not, it's more like a innate kind of unconscious feeling of like I'm not moving in the right direction, So yeah. But anyways, with the square of moon moon and Pisces squaring its current position is very interesting because, or it's not its current position, that's not what I meant to say. I meant to say squaring its ruler is basically that you have to really watch out for being like manipulated by people. And also you have to really watch out for energy vampires, which is kind of the same thing, but really watch out for just allowing, like, the environments you're in are so important. It's of such paramount importance. The people you surround yourself with, and just, yeah, the overall environments you allow yourself to be in, right? Because you take on like it's like Pisces moon already takes on so much of the energy, right? So there's a need, especially in relationships, right? We said before, this in the relationship part of this, this adds the need for alone time, the need for a partner that recognizes that, right? But what I was gonna say with now that you have Pisces in the mix, so you have Libra and Pisces, so you have the two signs that are the most, not pushovers, but can be the most people pleasing and lack boundaries the most, right? Libra in more of a people pleasing way, Pisces in more of a just, boundlessness, lack of self identity. So with the square to Neptune, it can actually make the identity crisis even more difficult to kind of overcome. So there's a need to, it's so funny. I've been like putting like I think of a sentence, and then like I'll like use the word that I was gonna use at the end, at the start. But there's a need to have firm spiritual grounds to yourself and to your life, right? And that comes through the magic word routine, which you have no earth, which makes it super challenging. And that is the kind of synopsis with your north node, which I base all my readings around the North Node in an Earth sign, Virgo. So you're literally being asked to be of service to humanity, which you've been there, done that with that, but there's still a need to do it in a different way, in a way that's more pragmatic and just balanced, like in a way where you're not being overly Virgo. I probably already talked about this, right? Worrying about like the little anxieties and perfectionism, but not being overly Pisces, where you're kind of just like, ugh, like where you're just allowing it to really get in the way of your, where you're just to go with the flow. Like whatever happens will happen and not putting in the effort. You want that solid balance of like, okay, I'm very spiritual. Yes, there's little anxieties that annoy me each day, but I, with my beautiful Stellium and Leo, my God, so nice, will overcome them and outshine them. And then, if we actually really want to get spicy here, I know I said spicy, Neptune is also squaring the nodes. So I talked about that. I for sure talked about that. I did. I definitely talked about that already. Definitely talked about that already. Yeah, about like ultimate meaning, dreams, ideals, and how to skip steps around that. And how like in this life you really need to find that deep meaning, and unresolved dreams. So that literally shows with Saturn opposite your South Node that you are a dreamer and that your dreams were held back. So could that be related to, I don't like saying like related to parents in this lifetime. I don't fucking know. Whoever it was or whatever it was, doesn't matter. It's just that you need, like, that you might feel like you're way further away from your goals than you really are. Yeah. And it can also, with Saturn in the 12th house and this square, make someone like afraid of their own spiritual powers, right? But Black Moon Lilith in 12th, like you're a witch, So just don't be afraid. And Pisces Moon, you are even more of a witch. So just know that you need to have really firm boundaries with, which, like I said, having Pluto there helps that a lot on your ascendant rising. Powerful individual. Powerful force. But then, yeah, the Pisces Moon, at its highest is just like someone who is extremely artistic, extremely compassionate, who is really here to help, and who can use that gregarious sun shining Virgo, or not Virgo, Leoness, on one hand, and then use, especially 11th house, so to like really be someone who doesn't really hide. You're meant to really shine and show yourself in this life, but then who also understands that they have a sensitive side, that they can't go over the top with how many people, like, just throwing themselves in too fast and too strong to communities and making commitments, right? Because this is in Jupiter. Yeah. Wait, no. There's no squares in Jupiter. What am I talking about? It's Uranus. Yeah. But still, just not going too hard with kind of putting yourself out with putting yourself out there, right? Taking your time. It's, people can really affect you a lot. Now, yeah, so that's interesting. And like, yeah, with the square moon in Neptune, that's a super important one in astrology. And then also it squares Juno too, so that's interesting. I don't think I talked about that. But basically, let's, with Neptune, it's just like, and I'll go back to face. Well, I've talked for a while. So, with the Neptune one, it's really about just like being prone to depression, very moody, being able to like really get caught in that like web of emotions, and especially with the Leo part, there can be pride, so you might not want to feel into those. So it's all about learning to value that softer side of your nature, and really not, and like, because like people with this square, they can like literally feel like the weight of and the struggling of all humanity just upon them, and it's super heavy, super difficult, right? So yeah, really like finding creative pursuits to direct those talents into his massive third house, writing, like I said, writing, communicating in some way. You can literally get downloads through that. Also your hustler, like the Uranus second house, hustler energy, very inventive. Um, and then Moon square Juno, I usually don't really talk about that, but like, it is something. So because it's very important for relationships, because basically the Gemini Juno makes you want this like really kind of fun partner, very intellectual stimulating. So the moon in Pisces is different because you desire a partner who's all fun, who's all out there, all extroverted, who probably feeds that Leo side more because Juno actually sextile, which is a smooth aspect, your Venus, but mostly your Sun and also your Jupiter. So your whole Leo is sextile, but then the moon is kind of forgotten. So it's like there's a real potential for a partner which ninth house, like I said, could be a foreigner, who only values that Leo side of you and not that really sweet, empathetic, kind of hidden, the moon's hidden, right? Pisces side. And with the lack of boundaries potential, that's super huge, right? But it does also make someone who's likely to be nurtured. Um, so but it's really important to like ensure that your loved ones are on the same wavelength as you in terms of your effort. So like it's really that square is about like giving, like are you giving more than you receive? Um so yeah. Yeah, it's like that need for that, like that real domestic warmth and harmony and nurturing. So yeah, it's just really it goes back to the Libra and Pisces. Just ensuring that that you're looking after yourself as much as you're looking after others, which is also going back to that Virgo Pisces South Node North Node, and the tendency for you probably to to give more, like, so it's really believing your own dreams, believing in your own creativity. All right. So yeah. So I think now that the Mercury is stationed and not retrograde, it can take on more of like a like it can make someone like a writer, right? Like something like that. Someone who really puts, who's more internal with the stuff. But it can really give someone the ability to really stop, freeze, and just really have such a deep imagination and really be very contemplative. Um, so yeah, what else can I say? But the fact that's unaspected, yeah, it really makes it so you have to kind of watch yourself with your communication. Even though just because there is so much Leo energy, just being too prideful with your knowledge and in your communication, just saying too much, so because there's no planets that are watching, that are kind of monitoring that. So yeah. Okay, so with the other ones that I talked about, part of fortune in the eighth house, I mean, come on, that just shows that you are a naturally gifted healer, in Taurus, just like discovering joy through stability, building firm foundations in your life, and really eighth house just and also yeah, like part of fortune in Taurus is about the it's trying your nodes, right? So it's like your north node. So it's like by finding that balance, that's where you feel you're most at ease. And where do you find that balance is in the eighth house. So in that death, rebirth, transformation, in that shadow work, that regeneration, that's where in that need to surrender the personal ego, right? Which is Leo is the high vibe. Leo is able to do that and then give that sunny disposition to others. That's huge. And the vertex, I don't know where it was last time, but you know, in Gemini now, it's really through once again through communication that you know that's your doorway to highway, your doorway to higher awareness. You know, it gives you lots of dexterity. So anything that like involves kind of pushing yourself, like intellectually writing, reporting, speaking, teaching, whatever it is. Any doorway to knowledge is really where you can and just trying tons of different things, being very, very versatile. So that's massive. So and then ninth house, I think I talked about that, didn't I? Just like traveling, and just foreign cultures, spiritual practices, how that's really, really linked to your growth, your higher awareness. So, okay, let's see what else with the asteroids and fixed stars. And I'll remember like if there are any, but they'll change. Okay, so there's one already. So I'm just gonna memorize these in my head. So yeah, Eris on the descendant. I think I already talked about how that descendant areas. Yeah, like Eris there can just make like lots of volcanic eruptions in relationships. You have Markab smack on your moon. I'm talking 23.12 and 23.13. Like, damn. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I can't see. Oh my god, I have to stare because there's so many numbers crunched together. Okay, so that is 1. Yeah, 1, 9, 12, 13. Okay, so what's that 7 one behind? Is that Sirius? And then there's this one. No. What's this? It's like so hidden. Oh my god. Well, Sirius on the midheaven, I already talked about that one, but there's another one that's like hiding. I can get its name. I have to like close this down. I talked about karma being on your Venus, so just lots of karma in love life. That's sixth house. Also, it's like moon, like very karmic when it comes to emotional connections, like return, like kind of balancing different emotional connections, especially with the mother in this lifetime. And also, yeah, Pisces moon. Another thing, square. Oh, so important. I'm saying this now. Pisces moon square Neptune. People who have that tend to take on their mother's baggage. So it's like a lot of times I've talked to so many clients who have this. It's like literally later in life, like they turn 30 or something, and then they realize, oh my God, I was really on this shame for my whole life. It was actually my mother's, not my own. So it makes you super, super sensitive when you're like really, really young, before you can remember, like a baby, right? You're always sensitive. So if your parents were fighting a lot, if your mother was like in a negative mindset, like these things will affect you a lot, and you'll have to really work on those things. So remind me I told you that. And there can, like, a lot of times, if that was the case, there's really like work that's needed to be done in terms of like looking at what's yours, what's not yours, right? So you're affected a lot more. And if there was like a happy kind of energy, then that also affects you amazingly. Then it ends up affecting you amazingly, but it is a square, so typically it's difficult. And you have Markab there, which is not I mean, I forget. I know Marquette is not a pleasant one, but like with stars, it's difficult because like you can have like a star that's usually bad or like it has a negative effect, but then like let's say it's like a really bad star, but then like on Jupiter it has a really good effect. You know, so it's always have to look them up to remember or to see. And then you have Union conjunct Saturn, so that's just like I think I already talked about that, but just like really just like surefire, like that fate is playing a huge role in your relationships or in your relationship. So you like you don't have to matter, you don't have to worry about that stuff. Um, and I know you're in a relationship already, so which I'm going to do reading of very shortly. And you have Aphrodite conjunct Jupiter. I probably already talked about it, but yeah, that's just like that. That's just beauty. Aphrodite is just beauty. It's just like that eloquent, like just like that beauty, you know. And Jupiter just makes it bigger, makes it known to everyone. But I remember talking about that. So okay, so we need to figure out what the I think it's the star 7. So I'm gonna click on it like this and see if it tells me. Oh, that was serious. And then which one is 22? No, it will be in Cancer at around 12 degrees. Oh my god, I can't see anything on this table. There's 2 stars. Okay, now I can kind of see. Okay, so it is oh, it's 14. It's kind of far away. It's 8:22. Yeah, child. Okay, so 14:39, 12. Okay, so it's actually out of yeah. Um oh, I already talked about child, didn't I? Oh, regardless, that's like the inner child, you know, the inner innocence. So that gives you like that real kind of like that like you show that energy publicly, you know. Maybe you're meant to like really help out people and finding their inner child, you know. Maybe it's something that's like, you know, you're like you're yeah, like something along the lines of like expressing your inner child being like very prominent in your career and your dharma, right? So yeah. Yep. Okay. So where are we? But yeah, those were all of them. So let's see what it says. For the other one, how far? Yeah, obviously it wasn't close. And yeah, okay. So child was even close. Well, actually, for this one, what's interesting is that the Sirius, which I talked about, is way close. It's actually like smack on your midheaven now, right? So it becomes a lot more important. Sirius. Now that's high ambition, pride, love of power. You know, it's good for wealth for sure. I mean, there's a reason that the U.S. is Sirius is it's July 5th, but you know it's Sun's conjunct Sirius. And then it's I think Ascend is on Aldebaran. I forget. Let's pull up the USA chart just so I actually know. I guess a chart. It shows me Billboard astrology. No, I mean it has Antares rising, of course. No, 12 degrees. That's bizarre. What was the thing? Hold up. Wait, that's not a real. That's not real. I mean the day is real, but yeah, I mean they have Sun conjunct Jupiter, like on Sirius. But no, there's something missing here because they have Uranus on Aldebaran, and then Antares is kind of close to the rising. But no, there's something. Whatever. Okay, that's not the point of this reading. So yeah, with the Sirius midheaven, I read the last time, like it's just very good for profit, reputation, honor, prosperity in business. So it's just a really good one for that. Now Markab, um, it's also great for honor, riches, fortune, but then there's like it's a Mars Mercury one, so it can be a little bit combative and risky. Let's see what it says with the moon there. Let's hope it's good. So the potential for accidents, but fairly good health overall. So it's not really giving me any information. It's hard to find information on these. That book won't tell me shit. I can't do that. That stare I just did, and it's making me have wrinkles. Come on. Swiftness and movement, alert every task. So lots of speed. So it kind of goes with that what I was saying with the Gemini. Okay, so you're good. That's not conjunct like Mars, Uranus, Saturn. Oh, wow. So it's said to influence above all the spiritual and mental nature and to give a good head for figures, intellectual alertness, mental powers in general, and last but not least, the ability to further propaganda activity, if at the same time relevant aspects are also present. I would say watch out for propaganda activity. No, I'm joking. Um, Let me see, 22, 24 Gemini. Nope, thank God you don't have any malefics there, because it said death by drowning if you have any there, but no. With moon, yeah, I said already. Good thing Mars isn't there. And good thing that, yeah. So yeah, it's very fiery. So it kind of adds a little bit of fire to that, that Pisces moon. And there's also like a little bit of selfish energy there, which is needed, which like can not just selfish, but just like being able to be swift in business. So it actually kind of will help you not be a pushover. And that Pluto, so it's like your moon in Pisces is kind of saved by the Markab of the boundary thing, and then the Libra is rising is saved by the Pluto. So yeah. Anyways, how long to go? An hour? Wow. Just to fill in a few blanks. So I think that's like 3 hours of content or of readings. But yeah, everything from the first one connects perfectly with this one. Just minor changes. So yeah, I will have the other one done next time I do a reading of that sort. When I have the the power. So hope this was a nice fill in the blanks and you enjoy both together. All right. Bye bye.